Everyone here knows that the Russians or the Chinese could have gotten all of that information, and they could have passed it on to the Houthis.
Nobody's texting war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information.
Look, it's all a witch hunt.
It was a mistake that a reporter was inadvertently added to a Signal chat.
A high-level national security leak within the Trump administration has triggered widespread concern in Washington, with both Republicans and Democrats demanding an independent investigation. The controversy centers around senior administration officials discussing sensitive military attack plans on the encrypted messaging app Signal, raising fears that U.S. national security could have been compromised. Critics warn that if the information had fallen into the wrong hands, American troops could have been at risk. Republican Senator Roger Wicker of Mississippi, the chair of the Senate Armed Services Committee, announced on March 26 that he and Senator Jack Reed, the committee's top Democrat, would push for an expedited Inspector General report and a classified briefing on the leak. Wicker stated that the situation required immediate attention, calling it a matter of national security.
We are signing a letter today asking the administration to expedite an Inspector General report back to the committee. We're sending a similar letter to the administration in an attempt to get ground truth. The information as published recently appears to me to be of such a sensitive nature that, based on my knowledge, I would have wanted it classified.
The bipartisan demand for an investigation highlights the growing concerns among lawmakers over how this breach occurred and what steps are needed to prevent future incidents. While some Republicans have sought to downplay the incident, others are demanding accountability. Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska criticized the administration's handling of the situation, warning that it could become a major political and national security problem.
This is what happens when you don't really have your act together.
Multiple congressional committees, including the Senate Intelligence Committee, are now facing pressure to launch their investigations into the matter. With lawmakers from both parties are calling for transparency, the Signal leak scandal is fast becoming one of the biggest national security controversies of Trump's second term. During a House Intelligence hearing on global threats, Representative Jim Himes of Connecticut did not hold back in his criticism of the administration's handling of the situation.
I think that it's by the awesome grace of God that we are not mourning dead pilots right now. Everyone here knows that the Russians and the Chinese could have gotten all of that information.
Meanwhile, Representative Jim Himes pressed Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard on whether the leaked Signal chat contained classified information, citing ODNI guidance that such details should be marked as top secret. Gabbard did not dispute the classification standard, but emphasized that the Department of Defense has its authority over classification decisions.
Do you recall what your own guidance would suggest that be classified?
I don't have the specifics in front of me, but it would point to what was shared would fall under the DoD's classification system and the Secretary of Defense's authority.
So let me help you, because there's a very clear answer.
And what is not.
I guess you don't have it, but information providing, this is the ODNI guidance, information providing indication or advance warning that the U.S. or its allies are preparing an attack should be classified as top secret. Do you disagree with that?
I don't disagree with that. I just point out that the DoD classification guidance is separate from the ODNI's classification guidance.
Do you think it would be materially different?
Ultimately, the Secretary of Defense holds the authority to classify or declassify.
Do you think it's likely that DoD guidance is materially different from what I just read?
I haven't reviewed the DoD guidance, so I can't comment. The President and National Security Advisor Waltz held a press conference yesterday with a clear message. It was a mistake that a reporter was inadvertently added to a Signal chat with high-level national security principals, having a policy discussion about imminent strikes against the Houthis and the effects of the strike. National Security Advisor has taken full responsibility for this, and the National Security Council is conducting an in-depth review along with technical experts working to determine how this reporter was inadvertently added to this chat.
As scrutiny intensified, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz attempted to contain the fallout, taking responsibility for the incident. However, his explanation did little to reassure critics. "Of course, I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else," Waltz said in a Fox News interview referring to Goldberg. He then labeled the journalist as the bottom scum of journalists. Despite claiming to take full responsibility, Waltz did not offer a clear explanation for how the mistake happened. Instead, he insisted that no classified material had been compromised and accused the media of exaggerating the incident. Meanwhile, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, while speaking to journalists, dismissed concerns about sensitive information being shared in messages.
Nobody's texting war plans. Well, I noticed this morning, out came something that doesn't look like war plans. And as a matter of fact, they even changed the title to attack plans, because they know it's not war plans. There's no units, no locations, no routes, no flight paths, no sources, no methods, no classified information.
President Donald Trump addressed the controversy on March 26th, dismissing concerns and shifting blame to Waltz. When asked about the signal leak, he downplayed its significance, suggesting without evidence that the issue might stem from problems with the messaging app itself.
Look, it's all a witch hunt. Here we are talking about some of the greatest business deals ever made. The greatest companies in the world are moving into the United States, and you want to ask about whether or not Signal works. I don't know that Signal works.
Trump also attempted to shift focus away from the leak and onto the success of the Yemen operation itself.
They have been hit harder than they've ever been hit, and they want us to stop so badly. And they've got to stop. They've got to say no mas. But I can only say that the attacks, it's attacks every day, every night. It's not just the one, you're talking about one. The attacks have been very successful, even beyond our wildest expectations. We've hit them very hard, very successfully. And we're going to do it for a long time. We're going to keep it going for a long time.
He also sought to distance himself from any direct involvement in the incident.
Well, yeah, Mike Waltz, I guess he claimed responsibility, I would imagine. It had nothing to do with anyone else. It was Mike, I guess. I don't know. I was told it was Mike. But again, the attacks were unbelievably successful, and that's ultimately what you should be talking about, I think. No, Mike took responsibility for it.
As scrutiny intensifies, the administration faces growing bipartisan pressure to account for the breach and its potential risks.